So, I finally got my superpowers. You know, the ones that everybody was talking about on Twitter. We were supposed to get them December 21st. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Coolest Corner on YouTube. Today I wanted to get away from the regular sit down and talk to you guys video. So I'm gonna take you guys behind the scenes of a project I worked on for me. It was a photo shoot that I did just because I wanted to do something cool, something creative. And I'm gonna show you what you can do with just a little bit of newspaper and a little bit of magic. I'm gonna show you how you can go from this to this. So stick around, because I think it's gonna turn out really cool.
So, let's talk about the setup. So what I did was I taped the first row of newspaper on the floor together because I didn't want to try to start from one newspaper at a time. So I put the first entire row up at once, almost the entire row, and then I just added newspaper in whichever direction I needed to cover the amount of space that I needed. So I kind of went row by row here. As you can see, I'm going from left to right, kind of, sort of. I don't think I continue to do that pattern, but it doesn't really matter which order you do it in. You just need to do it. Just cover the amount of space that you think you're gonna need. I just kind of guesstimated this. I didn't really do test shots or anything. I just guessed and it ended up working out for me. So here's how it kind of looked by the time I was done. And also you kind of want to wear socks while you're doing this, or slippers, because if you don't, your feet will stick to the newspaper. And I don't know why I thought this was okay, but I posted it there anyway. So this is how it looked after the shoot was done. I had left it up for about 2 or 3 days because that's how long the shoot took. But as you can see, it took some damage. I had to reinforce with some duct tape, but it all came out fine. And then this is my light that I was using for one of the light sources. I also used a colored bulb that's in that lamp right there. And they're both RGB bulbs, so I could change them to whatever color I wanted to. So I used pink on one, or like a pinkish color, yeah, and then blue on the other one. And as you can see, this light cycles through all the colors. So it's just pretty convenient to have, and it's very bright. The lamp is not as bright, so I had to put it really close, but the RGB light is very bright. So now what you see me doing here is I'm taking separate photos of the torn up newspaper you see floating in the photo. I just tore up a bunch of newspaper like randomly, not like any kind of structured tear, and I set my camera's timer to 10 seconds so I would have time to throw it. So around the 2 or 1 second mark, I threw it up in the air so that it would be falling in front of the camera when the shutter went off. So as you can see, I got a photo from it and it kind of looks like this. I know it's not in focus in here, but you'll see the photo later when we get into Photoshop. So this photo is what I use to cut individual pieces of newspaper out of, and I'll show you how in Photoshop. But not before I show you this super satisfying clip of me tearing down hours of hard work. It just felt really good to do. If you're not interested in the Photoshop portion of this, you can skip to the timestamp on the screen to see the results and a few other photos I took during the shoot. So now we are in Photoshop, and these are the 2 photos that I'm gonna make one composite photo, I guess you could call it. So this is the background picture that I'm gonna use, and this is the picture I'm using to take my body out of. Notice all the shadows on the wall, etc. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my quick selection tool, and you can see it highlighted over there on the left. And what this tool does is it is what it says it is, quick selection. So it's used to quickly select things in a photo. So what I'm gonna select here is myself, but without the little stool that I'm sitting on. So you can see I over selected here, but that is no problem. I forgot to turn my lock off that background layer, so that's why it wouldn't, I always forget to do that. But yes, so I over selected, and what you're gonna see is me go in, and all you have to do is press Alt and then click, and instead of adding more to the selection, it'll take away from it. So what I did is I changed the size of my brush and the harshness of it, and I went in and I selected all, I took all of the parts of the selection that I didn't want in my selection, or that weren't supposed to be there, and I took them out. And then I cut myself out of the photo. What you can do to do this, I don't know if this is what I did in this video, but you can literally, once you have everything selected, you can copy it just like a word, like Command C, And then when you get to the new photo, hit Command V to paste it in on top of the new photo. So what I'm doing here is I took the lasso tool. You can see I selected it on the left, and I'm just going around and lassoing out little pieces that shouldn't be there. So things that the quick selection tool didn't get 100% right. You just select things with the lasso tool. It's kind of like drawing a circle around it. And then you hit delete, and it deletes it from the layer that you have selected, which is the layer with me floating. So I did a little bit of resizing of myself, and I unlocked my background layer, because what I'm gonna do now is get rid of my dresser to the left and that lamp and the stand holding my RGB light to the right. So what I'm using for this section is what's called the patch tool. And as you can see, the one I have selected on our taskbar on the left, the patch tool, what it basically does is it takes something that you don't want. And honestly, I didn't have to even use that big of a section. I could have just lassoed right around the stand. But, you know, lazy. So what the patch tool does is it takes a section of something you don't want and it makes it look like everything else that's near it. So you just select the thing you want to get rid of and drag around until you find something that you want in that area, and boom, patch tool, done. Okay, so now, just like I selected myself in the first photo, I'm gonna do that to little individual pieces of newspaper in this photo. Well, that's not the photo I meant, but this one, yes. So literally what I had to do is go in and select them one by one. And I was having a little trouble keeping track of which photo was which in Photoshop, because I don't have my extra monitor that's really big where I can see everything at the top. So bear with me. But as you can see, I did the same thing that I did with my body. I just took those little pieces out, and I wanted to get pieces that were close to the camera and far away from the camera to give us that depth of field in my new photo that I'm making. So that's kind of just what I did. And then I just played around with some Gaussian blur. I added a little bit of Gaussian blur to the ones all the way at the back, just to give it a little bit more of that, you know, like it's far away and the aperture is really wide. And then I just kind of resized them and did what I thought looked good. And this is what I ended up with. So this is the photo that I ended up with. And it seems like a lot, but honestly, once you learn the basics, it's really not that difficult. Even though, I mean, this process probably took me a good 45 minutes, but it was a fun 45 minutes and I really enjoyed it. So I didn't show you how to make everything move. I actually had to do this same thing essentially in After Effects, but the good thing is I already had everything selected and cut out. So if you want to see more about that, let me know in the comments if you'd want to see me do an After Effects tutorial on how I made it move. So as a bonus, I just thought I'd show you guys some other photos that I took from this same shoot. And for every picture that I used in this shoot, I had already edited them in Lightroom, so just keep that in mind. These aren't raw photos straight from the camera.
So with just a few things you have lying around the house and a little bit of time, you can create anything that you imagine. How do you guys think I did? Let me know down in the comments. You can give me a rating from 1 to 10 to let me know what you think of this little, thing I threw together. And if you're new here, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. So you already know what to do. I don't even gotta say it. Just go ahead and, I've seen people do this kind of thing with all sorts of things. Bubble wrap, bed sheets, shower curtains. So also let me know how you guys want to get creative with this. If you do try some version of this at home, please tag me. I want to see it. I want to talk with you. I want to connect. You can find me on Instagram at LuKai1. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So until next time, peace, love, and Goombay. LuKai is out of here.